So, life is better when it's shared, right? I would agree with that. Human beings, they naturally want to share experiences and be connected to other people around them. And it's just something that drives human nature. So, that's the whole reason why we form relationships. And these relationships can last a long time. They can be a short period of time, but they really have an immense impact on us. But the thing is that we aren't perfect, and we learn that from a very early age. We're not perfect. We're incapable of being imperfect, and that's where the atonement comes in. But all healthy relationships experience disagreements and misunderstandings, and these are normal, and they help the relationship to develop. So, what happens when these relationships become unhealthy? By a raise of hands, how many of you guys in this room have been in an unhealthy relationship before? It can be with family, friends, acquaintances, anybody. So, what I want to do is define what these unhealthy relationships are. To me, they're toxic. And what a toxic relationship does is that it damages your self-esteem and it drains you of energy. A normal healthy relationship will build your self-esteem, bring value and happiness to your life, and it won't make you feel so exhausted at the end of the day. Health Scope magazine characterized a toxic relationship as one that is full of insecurity, self-centeredness, dominance, and control. But before I move on and continue talking about toxic relationships, I want to let you guys know why I feel like I'm qualified to talk about them. So this first slide, that was the definition. This is a picture of my mom and myself. The most toxic person that I know in my life, sadly, is my own mother. A lot of people will share quotes on Facebook or something about how they have learned so much from their parents, and if they could be anything like their mother was, that it would make them really proud. But for me, my mom had a really negative impact on me and still does. So I grew up in a very dysfunctional and distressing family life. As a child, I was told repeatedly by my mother that the whole reason why she had children was that she would have somebody that would love her. She grew up in a dysfunctional family as well and was abused by her mother. So the idea of having somebody that would constantly be there for her was a comfort, and that's the whole reason why she had all 8 of her children. She was also really hard to please. If I was a really good girl, I think, as a child, and I got really good grades, but if I got a 99% on my math test and I brought that home excited to show it to her, her response would typically be, "Where's the other 1%? Why are you showing this to me? When you get 100%, then come show it to me." She was also really controlling. She would come, they would search my room, they would frisk me before school for silly things like Crayola markers. In middle school and high school, the cool thing was to draw pictures for your friends. I don't know if you guys ever did that. You know, you would draw your friend's name and make it all pretty, put flowers and stuff. If I did that, it was a big no-no. My parents would come and empty out my locker and just completely confiscate anything. I was supposed to focus on school and nothing else. My mom was also really manipulative, so she would play on guilt. She would use stories from her childhood to make it seem like what we were going through wasn't a big deal. So at the age of 18, when I finally got out on my own, I was extremely dependent on other people. I had no self-esteem, and my relationships with the guys that I dated followed a very similar trend. It wasn't until I had my daughter that I was able to realize this toxic pattern in my life, because her father was also really controlling. He would lock me in the house without a car or a phone to call anybody, and if I asked to go see my parents, who only lived 10 miles away, he would become physically abusive. So I started to realize this pattern and stopped dating. I didn't trust anybody. It wasn't until I met my husband in 2011 that I actually started to open up again to people. And I realized where this toxic pattern originated from, which is from my home life. I didn't feel good enough because I was never told that I was good enough. I didn't have independence because I was never allowed to make decisions on my own. I was never allowed to be the person that I wanted to be. And I was easily manipulated because I was groomed to be easily manipulated as a child by my mom. So my first year of marriage to my husband was rough. I was afraid to make decisions in my marriage with my husband because I was afraid of the reaction my mom would have. And these decisions would be minuscule, like moving to a new apartment 30 minutes away from where she lived, because she wanted to have complete access over my children, her grandchildren, and she took it as a form of abandonment. So I lived in a lot of fear, and it took me 6 years to be able to tell my mom, it's okay. It took me 6 years to be able to feel okay telling my mom no. So I want to talk about toxic behaviors. We all suffer from insecurities. I feel pretty comfortable telling you guys that. I'm sure we all do. We're not perfect. We usually have to learn as we go. But a toxic person engages in manipulative and controlling behavior with the people within their immediate circle because of their insecurities. They typically will project those insecurities onto other people. They're unreliable. They belittle people. They won't let you excel or feel proud of yourself. They're easy to anger. They play on your guilt. They withhold affection as a punishment. They're controlling and manipulative. So I want to talk to you guys about how I've learned that you can protect yourself in a toxic relationship. And to me, there's 3 pretty strategic steps. The first is to surround yourself with good people. In my instance, it was the luck that I had in meeting my husband, because he brought with him an army of good, positive people. And it really opened my eyes up to how much potential I had and how the perception that I had of myself was really distorted. So it helped me to find my self-worth and to feel more happy. The second is to determine your level, the level that you feel comfortable with interacting with these people. And that could be a limited level. It could be completely cutting them out of your life. Or you could do nothing and hope that the relationship will change. This step is really personal and subjective to your own situation. So if you are able to weigh the individual factors in your life and really consider how these things affect you, you'll be able to make this decision. For me, the best decision with my mother was moving to Idaho from northern Illinois. It's a 1,400-mile drive. It takes about 2 days. And it gave me the distance from her to help my family heal and to help myself heal and be the person that I want to be and feel comfortable and confident in making decisions. I also have control over whether or not I want to talk to her. If she calls me, I don't have to answer the phone. But if I lived in Illinois, she could stop at my house and wait outside until I answered the door. The third step in protecting yourself is to stop seeing yourself as a victim, because you're not. I feel like it's easy to look at your situations in your life and how you've been affected and think, poor me. If I had a better situation, then maybe I would be better off. But you're not a victim. You are in control of the situation. You have power to change, and you have power to tell people what power they have in your life. So life may be better shared with people, but only when it's shared with people that bring value and happiness to your life. Don't make yourself miserable by feeling that you owe somebody a position in your life story. They don't earn that. You give it to them. And don't make yourself miserable by bringing people in your life that'll bring you down. So my challenge to you guys today would be to live your life the way that you want to, and however it would make you happy. Thank you.